Have you ever wondered extinct animals that might still be alive today? In today's video, I'm going to be diving into 5 extinct animals that might still be alive. Megalodon. In the history of the oceans, no predator is more feared than the Megalodon. This giant shark was the largest to ever exist, reaching up to 60 feet in length, as long as 2 school buses, and weighing more than 50 tons. Its massive triangular teeth, some over 7 inches long, could crush bone like a hammer on rock. Scientists estimate its bite force was 3 times stronger than a great white, enough to shatter the skull of a whale in a single strike. Today, these teeth are still found on beaches and riverbeds, reminders of the monster that once ruled the seas. According to science, the Megalodon vanished about 3 million years ago. Climate changes and a decline in prey are believed to have ended its reign. But stories have never disappeared. Sailors for centuries told of enormous fins rising above the waves, and fishermen in recent years have spoken of huge shadows passing beneath their boats, far too large for any known shark. Sonar scans in deep waters have also recorded massive moving shapes that vanish without explanation. One modern case fueled the legend. In 2013, Australian researchers tagged a great white shark. Months later, the tag was found washed at shore. The data revealed something extraordinary. The shark had been dragged into the depths at great speed and consumed by a much larger predator. Skeptics claimed it was another shark, but many saw imperfect evidence for the survival of the Megalodon. Critics argue the idea is impossible. A predator that size would need an endless supply of food and would be noticed more often. But the ocean is vast, and most of it remains unexplored. We know more about the surface of the moon than the trenches of our own planet. Entire ecosystems thrive in places no human has ever seen. If a creature wanted to remain hidden, there is no better place. One can say the Megalodon is truly gone. Its reign ended millions of years ago. But perhaps, in the silent darkness of the deep sea, its enormous shadow still moves. Ivory-billed woodpecker. Deep in the forest of the American South, there are whispers of a bird so rare, so exclusive that many scientists refuse to believe it still exists. The ivory-billed woodpecker, once the largest woodpecker in North America, was officially declared extinct decades ago. With its striking black and white feathers and its long pale beak, it was a symbol of the wild, but by the mid-20th century, logging had destroyed almost all of its habitat. By the 1940s, the bird was thought to be gone forever, but then came its sightings. In 2004, researchers in Arkansas released a grainy video of a large black and white bird flying through the swamp, far bigger than any common woodpecker. Ornithologists called it one of the most exciting wildlife discoveries of the century. Locals in Louisiana and Florida reported hearing its distinct double knock, a sound unlike any other bird. Some even claim to have seen pairs of ivory bills in high trees, watching silently before vanishing. Skeptics insist it's all mistaken identity, confusing the bird with the similar but smaller pileated woodpecker. But experts argue that trained eyes and ears know the difference. The sheer number of constant reports, many from experienced bird watchers and scientists, suggest there's something more than just wishful thinking. The swamps where these birds once thrived are vast, remote, and nearly impossible for humans to fully explore. It would not be the first time a species thought extinct was rediscovered in such hidden corners. In fact, conservationists still trek deep into these wetlands with cameras and recording devices, hoping to prove what many already believe, that the ivory-billed woodpecker still lives, hiding in the shadows of the ancient trees. The idea of its survival is more than just a mystery. It's a symbol of resilience, a reminder that nature has a way of keeping its secrets. And maybe, somewhere in the silent swamps of the South, the tapping of the ivory-billed woodpecker still echoes through the cypress, A sound once believed lost to history. Tasmanian tiger. In the wilderness of Tasmania and mainland of Australia, whispers still circulate of a creature science declared extinct almost a century ago, better known as Tasmanian tiger. It wasn't a tiger at all, but a carnivorous marsupial with stripes down its back, a powerful jaw, and a stiff tail. By the 1930s, hunting, habitat loss, and disease supposedly wiped it from existence. The last known died in captivity at Hobart Zoo in 1936. Yet to this day, sightings continue. Farmers claim to see striped dog-like animals slinking through the bush, moving with an odd, stiff gait no dog or fox could mimic. Drivers on lonely Tasmanian roads have reported crossing paths with a creature whose glowing eyes stare back before vanishing into darkness. In 1982, a park ranger in Tasmania, a trained observer who knew the local wildlife well, swore he saw a thylacine at close range. In 1995, a video surfaced from South Australia showing a striped figure running across a dirt road at night, its tail straight and stiff just like the odd films of captive thylacines. And as recent as 2019, multiple sightings were logged in official Tasmanian government reports from hikers and locals who described almost identical animals, always with stripes, always too strange to be mistaken for a dog. Skeptics argue people are simply seeing foxes, dingoes, or even mangy dogs. But those who studied the thylacine closely pointed out its unique features, especially its unusual movement and jaw, which allowed it to open its mouth at any almost impossible angle. And inland, as wild and unexplored as Tasmania, is it really impossible that a small, hidden population survived in the deep forests, far from human eyes? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. History is filled with animals rediscovered after being declared extinct, like the coelacanth, a fish thought gone for 65 million years ago, before one turned up in a fisherman's net. So why not the thylacine? Maybe the Tasmanian tiger isn't just a ghost from the past. Saola. In the remote forests of Laos and Vietnam, there is a creature so rarely seen it is often called the Asian unicorn. The saola is a type of antelope with long straight horns that can reach up to 2 feet in length, almost like small spears. Its reddish-brown body is sleek and built for speed, standing about 3 feet tall at shoulder. It is smaller than a deer, but moves with quiet grace of a shadow. The saola was discovered by scientists in 1992, yet even decades later, sightings remain extremely rare. Local villagers tell stories of beautiful, shy animals slipping silently through the mist of the forests, moving so fast it can disappear between trees before anyone notices. Camera traps have captured only fleeting glimpses of the horn or a back as it vanishes into dense bamboo. Some footprints and droppings match perfectly to the species, proving its presence in areas that humans barely reach. The saola is herbivorous, feeding on leaves, shrubs, and tender shoots. It needs dense, undisturbed forest to survive and avoids open areas at all costs. Its movements are so cautious that even experienced trackers can spend days without spotting. Poaching and habitat loss have made the saola even harder to find, and scientists fear it may be one of the rarest large mammals on Earth. Some researchers have even suggested it could be extinct because there have been years with no confirmed sightings. However, scattered reports from villagers, occasional camera trap images, and tracks in remote valleys continue to hint that it survives. Every piece of verified evidence, from footprints to photographs, confirms that the saola is real, even if it's extremely elusive. In the unexplored mountains and valleys of Southeast Asia, there may be hundreds of these animals moving unseen, silently passing through rivers and dense undergrowth. The saola may appear extinct from a distance, but in dense shadows of its forest home, it continues to glide silently, almost never detected by humans. Despite its rarity, it is a living species, still inhabiting some of the most remote forests on Earth. Echidna. For decades, scientists assumed that Attenborough's long-beaked echidna had vanished from the planet. This small spiny mammal, native to the Cyclops Mountains of Indonesia, was last formally recorded in 1961. For over 60 years, it remained a ghost in the eyes of researchers, a species known only from museum specimens and old reports. Unlike most mammals, this echidna lays eggs, a trait shared with the platypus, and its long tubular snout and strong digging claws are perfectly adapted for hunting earthworms and insects hidden in soil. Measuring about 2 feet long, it is roughly the size of a large cat, yet its spines give it a formidable, almost prehistoric appearance. In 2023, a team from the University of Oxford, working with local villagers, captured the first ever clear images and video of these species, confirming that it's still alive. The photographs show the echidna moving carefully through the leaf litter, sniffing and digging, almost entirely unseen by humans for decades. Footprints, droppings, and burrows recorded over the years had hinted at its presence, but none provided definitive proof until the cameras caught it in action. The rediscovery is not only remarkable for its rarity, but also for its evolutionary significance. Monostremes, the group that includes echidnas and platypus, diverged from other mammals around 200 million years ago, making this species a living link to the distant past. Conservationists note that its habitat is fragile, threatened by deforestation and hunting, and this species remains critically endangered. Even with its survival confirmed, only a tiny population is believed to exist, and much of its behavior, diet, and ecology remain a mystery. Each sighting is a rare glimpse into the life of an animal that has eluded science for more than half a century.